Recorded live from Portland, Oregon, it's the Transamorous Network podcast. Let's get it on.
Hello, it's Perry from Transamorous Network podcast.
This is Remy.
And this is Shannon Scott.
You're not going to say hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I'm sorry. No, wait. Hello, hello.
Oh, my goodness. What a morning it's been, huh?
Yeah. It was a morning.
It was a morning.
We're in an afternoon now.
You know, sometimes perfection takes time.
That's
it
right.
just
Right.
does.
It
So
does,
right.
Yeah. So
You can't rush perfection.
No,
you can't.
I don't know if this will make it into the show, but I failed to press record. And so we did not have a show for the first 40 minutes of the show.
but it was good. Take
It
our
was
word on it. It
really-
was the
oh my
best
gosh.
ever.
And the hour before that was even better.
That was pretty. This word is overused, and I hate it. But that conversation was kind of epic. It was really emotional. It was. I think you and I connected there on a level
think
that we
so, too.
hadn't connected before.
I think
it was
so,
really.
too. There was a
really
level
wonderful.
of intimacy.
There was.
And it wouldn't have happened had Remy not come when she came.
Yeah.
Late.
Thank you,
I
Remy.
wasn't going to say that.
Thank you, Remy.
I overslept and I got here late. Shit happened.
She got
it
here
does.
perfectly on time.
That's right.
exactly when she was supposed to.
That's
Everything
right.
worked out the way it does, doesn't it?
Amen.
So we're on video again. Welcome viewers and our traditional listeners on the podcast. You know, actually, our video version of our podcast got, what's 9 times 5 is 45. It's got 5 times more views than our podcast, our non-video podcast.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the video is actually doing us a really good service and getting the word out about
Wonderful.
the stuff
It's
that we
all
talk
about you.
Because you need
It's
to
all
know.
about you.
It is. It is all about you.
It literally is all about you.
Yeah, I could be laying in a park somewhere, but I'm not. I'm in this room doing a podcast with these 2 amazing human beings and then another amazing human being online. And so we do it for you.
What
We love you.
would you be laying in the park doing? Or I guess you could be sunning yourself. I was
would
thinking
be.
about being.
Actually, that would be my excuse. I'd be people watching. I love watching
Oh, me
people.
too.
It's my favorite thing to do.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. I'm a weirdo.
Is it weird to watch people?
No,
What
I
did
don't.
you say? I said pervy, but not really. Maybe a little.
I'm okay with that. Whatevs.
What I didn't do in our first failed attempt was ask you, Remy, what you're up to. What are you up to?
What are you
well,
up to,
let's see.
Remy?
In my life, still working a new job, still getting adjusted to that whole process. But as far as my own personal side things, been doing more readings lately, actually. So I'm a psychic reader and healer, and so I've been doing a lot of work with that.
Really?
And
Will you give me a reading someday? I mean that
I
sincerely.
would love to give you a reading.
Do you want to do that on the air?
Can you?
I
Can you?
could. That would be your choice. That'd be
That
your
would be-
choice. We could do that.
Oh my God. I'm like so excited.
That would be
right
actually
now.
really
I'm
kinda
so
cool.
excited right now.
I've never done that. I've never. That would be actually a lot of fun.
Because
think that
I
would be
really
fun.
believe in this. I have a friend back in Montana who is clairvoyant.
Mhm.
And growing up Catholic, that was, of course, no way. No, that's not real. That's not real stuff. I believe in my heart and soul that some people know what's coming.
Absolutely.
And so I'd be really interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Well, if you
You
talk
have the
about just the
sight.
physics of the world, it's light and vibration. And some people can pick up other vibrations that others can't. And that's really kind of what it boils down to and how that manifests, whether it be clear vision, clear hearing, clear seeing, clear knowing.
This is so exciting.
So,
I know that I'm going down the right path, but I'm a little bit scared.
Right.
That's how I know that I'm
Right.
doing the right thing. Is
Yeah.
when I'm just a little bit scared, and so I'm a little bit scared right now, and I want to do this. It's really
I would
exciting.
love to. I think it'd be a
Yes.
blast. I think it'd be great.
Oh my God.
Okay, so in the next show where we don't have a guest,
Okay.
we'll do a reading.
I'll bring cards and we'll do it.
I'm so stoked.
You'll have to show
I'm
the cards.
So
up to the video to
stoked.
show people.
We'll do
It'll
what
be
we
fun.
can.
You'll do what we see. Okay.
There's
Okay.
no way you're going to miss the next show. There's no way you're going to miss it.
Have a little bit of the occult going on.
That's right.
Transamorous Network podcast.
Well, it's all part of the universe.
It
And,
is. It is.
I'm also doing, I'm playing a part in a main ritual for the Summer Solstice Festival. It's a 4-day camping weekend, Sunfest. And this year's ritual is the Fool's Journey. So everyone at festival will be playing the Tarot Arcana card 0. So you'll be playing the Fool, and along the path, you'll meet someone representing each of the other arcana. So the Empress, the Emperor, the Devil, the Tower, the Hanged Man. And so you'll meet someone on this
very
different...
dark.
It's not. It actually is for your own personal progress and journey and power and stuff like that. And it's funny because so my lines and my character, I'm playing the Hanged Man, which I didn't quite expect when I was given the character, the card. But when I finally got the lines that were written from me, it was perfect. It's exactly where I am right now. It's knowing that the universe is more vast and complex than I can understand at the moment, and that what I truly seek cannot be found in the mental, emotional, and physical realm, and that it's the realm of spirit where all of my knowledge is going to come from. And so, like, while I'm waiting for that to happen, I'm waiting with, like, this open mind and open heart and just knowing that all this great shit is about to come my way. And those are my lines.
That this great shit is
Well, mine is the last bit. Okay. But it might come out that way when in the moment, because you never know what you're going to say in the moment. And I'm delivering that message to the fools, the people on the journey. Spirit might move me to change those words a little bit here and there. But essentially the concept of what I'm representing is being in that place of waiting for spirit to help you with that next step.
So awesome.
It's so funny because we were in the pre. I'm going to see if I can splice the other intro into this, because we were talking about a lot of what you're saying from more of a secular standpoint about how so many things are going so right for all of us, and why the three of us, I mean, and why that is, and the recognition. Girl, I had a booger hanging out my nose.
I didn't even notice. I would have told you. I'm not. Oh, that makes okay. That was a little bit of a left turn. Hi.
I was just like, wait a minute, something's
Mocoso cochino.
Little bat in the cave hanging there, and no one was even willing to say anything. Okay.
Because Remy and I aren't the kind of people that would tell you.
Well, but Remy told me that my shirt was
I
inside
told exactly.
out.
Had I seen that Tweety bird in your nose, I'd have told you.
A rock in your shoe, a bat in the cave. That's something different. Come on.
I haven't heard that one.
You got a rock in your shoe.
It's okay.
What?
I feel better.
Rock in your shoe.
Right. And so you were saying earlier, we were saying.
Well, we were talking about how wonderful. So Shannon, like Shannon said a minute ago, we had this bonding moment before you got here, and we were talking about how wonderful our lives are working out, and how we feel like everything is ready to pop, and in a positive way. And the things you were just talking about this ritual you're going to be participating in is recognizing that the wisdom and the resources that are available to us are far beyond what our intellect is capable of tapping into. And so there's this other element of life from which all things flow, and all three of us are having epiphanies around realizing that in our own lives.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that's what this show is all about, really. We talk about trans issues, and we talk about transamory and the men out there who are inevitably going to start showing up in, not just on the show, but in life in general, supporting trans women and loving them as people. But there's a ton of other things that are going on in our lives individually.
Absolutely.
That are fantastic on this show. That's fantastic. And it all started with the Man's Guide.
Absolutely. And, speaking of epiphany, so I just gotten back from Beltane, as I was saying in the last show, another spiritual weekend away. I had an epiphany kind of about myself and how I guess I'm perceived or received or how I'm taken by my peers and the people in my communities and the people around me. I've heard it for years, but it never really sunk in or meant anything when people were like, oh, yeah, you finally get to hang out with Remy. I'm getting my Remy time. And I was like, okay, what the fuck are you people talking about, Remy time? Like, I'm something. There is something I give somebody and I give people. It's my presence. It's me. And it feels really strange to say these things out loud because it feels unhumble. It feels like I'm trying to big myself up, and it's just, these are my own things that I'm working through. But verbalizing it here and now, helps to strengthen those ideas. And it was a really strong epiphany that I really am something special, and I do give back to people just by my being. And being in space, and it's very moving.
Oh,
it's very moving,
and it shows up here on the show for sure. Oh. And in my, we were also just talking about while you were taking care of your interview, Shannon. Remy and I were talking about the Trans Pride March, which is coming up in June, and I hope that you're going to be interested in marching with us in the parade.
Maybe.
Okay.
I'm very heavily involved with the Human Rights Campaign.
Oh, that's right.
And so we have a pretty large presence.
That's right. Got it. Anyway, we were talking about how it's coming up on our year anniversary of knowing each other.
Yeah.
And we were remarking about how much has changed since that time 12 months ago in both of
Yeah.
our lives.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
Do
almost
tell.
like, it's almost exactly a year
Almost
from when
exactly
Perry and
right.
I met. And we met at my other employment at a nightclub, and communicated and talked, and it was nothing. We didn't talk a whole lot. We
No.
talked some, but I was working. It was busy, But he contacted me online and asked me out for coffee, and I was in a really bitter place in my life about how men had been treating me and how I'd been, and where I was in the story that I was telling myself. But of course, at that time, I didn't realize or know or was acknowledging that this is my story and this is how I was telling it. And so I had, we had tea. We had tea together in one afternoon, and this was just before Pride. And Perry showed me that not all men are scum, and that it is possible to find a true transamorous man that will love me for me, and just that he's the type. He proved that it's possible, and that's what I needed at that moment, was to know that it was possible, and to know that there are that reminder that good men are out there, and that there are good men out
All right,
there.
you have to dish with me really quick. What was your first impression of Perry? He's not in the room. He can't hear you.
Perry's very cute. He's a very nice man. I love hanging out with Perry.
No, that was kind of a generalization.
What you trying to ask?
I'm
me?
what I'm saying. What was your first impression?
I was interested. I was attracted. We communicated.
I got you.
So
All right.
I didn't
Just
know what
checking.
tea was going to be,
Just
but I also didn't realize how bitter I was at the time either.
Yeah, there was
And
a lot
I
of
went
that.
I went in
Was
not
there?
realizing that's where I was. You know what I mean? Not consciously being aware of that's how I was feeling about interactions in men and situations, and just having our conversation. And he probably said something related to this concept, and it was like, oh bitch, he's right. Get it together, knock it off, and it is possible. And that's, for me, like all I needed to start making the change. And then that's when I ran back in to the man that is now my boyfriend. We had a history before, but 5 years went in between that. And so knowing that good men are out there again, soon after he followed, and I continue to meet good men and better men. And so like that was our first whole thing. And then he asked me to write or edit the guide, and my life has changed ever since. Things have just.
Yeah. And then I think we had one more get together at a coffee shop, and then we hung out at the Trans Pride parade last year. Or was it the other way around?
I think we hung out at Trans Pride because you were telling me, so this coming Saturday or whatever is Trans March. Are you going? And I was like, the what?
Oh, that's right.
The
That's
who?
right.
Like, I'm not involved in the trans community as far as like, all of the things. I'm just not good at that kind of stuff.
You got other stuff to do.
Yeah, I got a lot more shit to do, like live. So, but I was like, you know what? I need to go to this. And so I did go to that. And that's actually the first time I felt true pride in being transgendered. Like, I'd never felt like I needed to have a pride for it, because it was all just me. My transition, again, has been very like seamless, you know what I mean? But like being able to march and have a sign that said trans and proud on it.
So you would say that was a positive experience?
It was an extremely positive experience.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Because I have to be completely honest with you. I went to a pre-trans pride parade. That did come out right. Nice job. Pat on the back, Shannon. And they were doing some public speaking, and they had a few performers.
Oh, yeah.
And I have to be honest with you. I listened to about 30 minutes of speakers, and I said, I'm done. I'm done with this energy.
Was that here in Portland?
Yeah, it
That
was down
at
in the park.
That was
Last
at the
year?
rally.
Yeah,
That
we
was
were
the park-
there.
That's where we hung out,
Yeah.
was at the
Yeah,
rally.
and I was
listening
there,
to some
and
of
I
those
said-
rants and
Yes, and that's exactly the word.
It was
yeah,
pretty
Rants.
bad.
There
some
was
of them
so
were
much
rants.
anger
Yeah.
and frustration, and it was not a healthy energy.
Yeah.
And
You know,
I
and-
thought this should be about power. This should be about pride. This should be about being who we are and being genuine. And it wasn't. It was about, I'm angry.
Yeah.
Well, for
I-
me, my experience with that was that the person on stage going on with their rant, that was the energy they were providing. But like amongst the crowd, at least personally, I was having this really great experience because the anger wasn't amongst the crowd.
Correct.
No.
The
Agreed,
crowd,
agreed.
which was the most important part. Like, I just tuned that bitch out because she
Yeah.
was just going off. And this is the same bitch who was at the Pioneer Square rally ranting again, like the same thing. And it's like, your story really needs to be edited.
Bingo.
You need to re-edit that story.
Bingo. Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember not enjoying the pre-rally in the sense of listening to the speakers because I was hoping for more. But the march itself, the community itself, the just the experience of walking in the
The
parade
parade
with
itself,
a sign.
yeah.
You know, and actually my picture made it in Oregon Live.
What?
There was like a dozen pictures
Can I
from the
have your
trans. There's like a dozen pictures from the trans march, and there's one of them. It's me holding my sign.
Wow.
Well, actually, now that I think about it, I think the Trans March is not the same day as the Pride Parade.
It's the day
Correct.
before.
It's the
So
day
I
before.
could be, I may be able to participate.
Oh,
I
that'd
mean,
be great.
And now that I've heard your story on your experience, I'm a lot more excited to do so. Otherwise, because I surround myself with powerful, positive, constructive people and good energy, and that wasn't a great place for me. And
Yeah,
I thought,
I get
this
that.
is not the energy I want to be around,
get
and so I decided not to go. But now that I've heard your story, I'm
I
a lot
found
more
it
excited.
extremely powerful and inspiring, and in my feelings about being verbally out there as a trans woman. This is who I am and what I am. A lot of it came from that
my God,
march,
I'm excited
and
now.
Perry's the
I'm
one
excited now.
who told me about the march.
right
So
around the
there's a lot of
corner.
It is right around
appreciation.
the
I have
corner.
more gratitude to you than you can even know,
Oh, thanks,
Mr.
Remy.
Sir.
Thank you. We're going to have a lot of fun this year, and I hope you can join us, Shannon. We're going to have a banner,
Absolutely.
and we're going to march and hand out flyers and stuff like that.
Oh, that's an awesome idea. Oh, yeah.
That was
Well,
Remy's idea.
I do what I can.
look at this synergy.
I know.
The synergy that's happening right now. Oh my God, you too.
This is the whole three of us. It's a thing.
It is a
I
thing.
can't wait to. Yeah, I'll rock that with you.
Yeah.
Let's bring in
Bam.
Jessica. Jessica,
Yes,
you
we
there?
have a guest.
We
Jessica.
have
Yes,
a guest today.
I am here.
Hi, Jessica.
Hey, how's it going?
Great.
Great. How's your day going?
Not bad. It's a little warm. It rained pretty hard last night, and so now everything's muggy.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought you said it was a little bit muggy. So, what's the temperature down there? What's it feel like? Is it like pea soup when you walk outside? I just came back from Oklahoma, and so I understand. I don't know if that's just like Kansas, but I'm like, we're not on the coast. How is it so wet here? And it's like,
And that's where you're calling from, right? Kansas?
Yes, Kansas.
All right. So it's hot
I would
and muggy
say
in
yes,
Kansas.
I think Oklahoma's probably a little more on the dry side versus Kansas, and I don't know. It's,
why you got to compete with me? Why can't you just let me win this one? Give it to me. Come on, let me have this.
You're leaving her speechless.
We're more
it's
awake
been a
now,
wonderful
Jessica,
day.
so we're a little feisty. Don't mind us. Jump
freaking
right in.
awesome.
So I believe you were telling us about your family.
Yeah, let's start back at the beginning. So you've got 2 kids, right?
Yes, yes, a
And-
boy and a girl.
Yes.
My son is 5, and my daughter is 11.
And
Single mother,
Yes.
Widowed from my son's marriage, my fiance with my son. So
Is that something you want to go into? I don't want to just ask. Sometimes it
I
can be sensitive.
I don't mind if I can help anyone else out there with a little courage, then I'm completely okay with talking about anything.
Great, because we're gonna go there,
Okay.
especially since you're saying you're okay with it.
So
Sounds great.
this was the mother of your son, correct?
Yep.
And he's now 5.
hmm
And when did she pass?
When he was 3 months old. So it's on July 30th will be the 5-year anniversary of it all.
Wow.
So,
How, how did she pass?
she dealt with postpartum.
I knew you were
And-
going to say that. I knew. Oh.
Yeah, we were slightly on the rocks, and I hate to say this, I don't open up to many people about it. I just say it's an accident and let others assume. But she attempted suicide. They stabilized her at the home, and she went into cardiac arrest on the way to the hospital. So it was one of those things. Her dad gave me the call. Our son was in the crib right next to me, and I woke him up out of a dead sleep, just shouting in disbelief.
Right.
So it took 3 or 4 days. I didn't sleep, and everything was setting in, and she was actually a supporter of my transition. So
So let's wind it back a bit. actually, let's wind it back a lot, because there's none of this happens in isolation. So let's go through most of your life story that we had gone through in the previous failed recording, if you don't mind, and get back to. So this is a nice little introduction to the loving drama that is your life. And so now let's go back to the very beginning and talk about how you got to Kansas. We talk about your great grandmother, and the previous person that you were with, and then we'll wind back to your the source of your widowhood, or however you want to say that.
Yeah.
So you were born in
California, Palm Springs. I was kind of just carefree, not a real boyish kind of kid growing up. Approximately, I was raised by my great grandmother. My mother had abandoned me at 3 months old.
Why did she do that? Do you know?
She had an LSD trip in LA and left me. I don't exactly know where, but social services found me and took me in. I was in foster care for about 6 months, and then my great grandmother went through all the paperwork with the system to get guardianship of me.
Have you been in contact with her ever?
My mother?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Actually, she ended up moving out to Kansas as well. There was a stage where, before I went on hormones, she was okay with me being transgender, but the second she realized that, like, I would be going through physical changes, she flipped. So it was like, she's very religious and a Jehovah Witness, former Jehovah Witness.
Hang on a second, Jessica, because you've thrown Shannon for a loop here. If you could see her on camera, she almost fell off her chair. So let's explore that a little bit. Shannon, what's happening?
No,
over there?
I'm sorry that you had to experience that. That can be, it's amazing how damaging religion can be.
What do you know about the Jehovah Witness? If anything,
not as much. And in fact, I'll let Jessica explain her experience with it, because I think her story is probably more relevant.
Yeah, go for it.
I would say, well, so when I first met her, she was very Jehovah Witness, and so we'd be sitting around, and you would see, let's say, Jerry Springer come on back in the late 90s, and there was always those my girlfriend's actually a man type, those horrible stigmas, and her comments.
Sorry, I'm seeing a Jerry Springer in my head. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I that was after I met her was already after the time I started kind of understanding who I was, and so when she would make comments on, like, oh, that's gross and all that, I closed myself off to her. And then there was a few times I asked her, well, why do you feel that way? And she centered it around her belief system. So I grew up in a Christian school, and I even had to question my own faith at that point and dig deep as far as, let's say, what would Jesus do in this moment? And I never felt like her belief system, which overlaid any kind of kindness given to everyone, should have taken precedent over the core foundation of what they claim is their beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. They get the message wrong so often.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
sorry, Jessica.
Ahead.
No, I was just going to explain a little bit about my emotional reaction that I had a minute ago. I was raised Catholic, and when I say Catholic, I mean like all in Catholic, devout. I was an altar server for 10 years. Wow. And then I became a lector, so reading the gospel and, up on there. And I remember drinking the Kool-Aid. Like, I know you've heard that expression, but
Yeah.
And it was just so enveloping. And I really had, when I transitioned, I had to go through a stage where I really had to find a lot of forgiveness for the religion and what it told me about myself that was a complete lie. And so when you said Jehovah's Witness, I'm like, wow, because typically people that are Jehovah's Witness, and this has just been my experience, so know that they don't just drink the Kool-Aid. They take the powder out and do lines off the mirror with
Rub it
that,
on their gum.
right? It's just like,
Yes.
my goodness.
But almost literally, because all the ones I've known have been so like, this is our beliefs, blah, 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 blah. But the moment they're away from the people that know that that's their belief system, they wow the fuck out.
a little bit of hypocrisy there.
Jehovah's Witness girls back in high school were the biggest hoes. I
Really?
mean, yes, at least this is my experience.
Why didn't I know that?
Nothing against a faith specifically. These are just the people I know and how they got the message incorrectly.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so you're still now in Kansas with your great grandmother.
No,
No, great
she
grandmother was in
passed away.
California.
Uh-huh.
So it's just me and the kids, and so let's see, where was I?
Well,
I guess-
we were talking about your religious experience, but then I think the next thing on the agenda is the first person you met.
right.
Right. Not the first, but
Your
Actually, well,
was it your first?
okay.
this would be your daughter's mother.
Yeah, your
correct?
daughter's mother.
Yeah, she, like I was saying earlier, she was bisexual. I've always kind of flowed towards bisexual or pansexual women, and just I think there's a personality that carries with someone that is open and free, feels free about themselves like that, that I always was drawn into. And so when I met my my daughter's mom, Lisa's mom, there was a real good click there, but she didn't know. I didn't really display many signs of me being transgender at that time either. And as we went through our relationship, it was probably the second year. I actually, the year after my great grandmother passed away, was the year I opened up to her. And early on, things were like, I think it might have been a shock for her, but she tried to support in many ways. It wasn't like I was able to get my makeup on and just be myself on a daily basis with her, but she gave me just enough to feel confident that things were moving in the right direction. And so as time progressed, there was a little more animosity, a little centered around that, a little bit having to do with my own depression that I was fighting at the time, because I really wanted to come out, but I grew up in a small town that probably, I think, 300, 400 people at the most.
That's
Wow,
little.
that's tiny.
That's
tiny.
itty bitty.
It's a
Yeah.
very small town.
Post office and 2 bars.
Yeah.
That's Montana
one
small.
bar,
I grew up in
sadly.
one bar? I grew up in
Yeah.
Montana. We drank more there.
I mean, we're talking bonfires. Our entertainment was country cruising and bonfires.
Wow.
Good old cow
So-
tipping. Gotta love it.
Right?
God, I kind of want to do that.
So, but I had one of my best friends came out as gay, and he was blasted by everyone in our age group, our kind of our cliques, and he ended up taking his own life.
Jesus.
And that sent a terrifying, I don't know the term to use. It centered me around terror of coming out at that point.
Were you afraid because you thought you would take your life, or were you afraid of what the people around
was-
you would do or say?
I was afraid of how the other people would treat me, my fiance at the time, and the friends that we were close to. Being a small town, we all, there was like a handful of friends that we had, and I didn't want to jeopardize my fiance's relationships with her girlfriends or guy friends, and so there was a lot of just, I don't know, suppression out of necessity or out of fear, and maybe a blending of both. But I would say, seeing how my friend was bullied so much, I knew it would happen to me. And all he was, he was just trying to be himself, and not, he wasn't transgender, but, being gay in the small town was
And there's
horrible.
so much peer pressure in a place that's that small.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder. I wonder. Speaking of peer pressure, I wonder what the response of the community was when that guy took his life. What was their response?
That's a great question.
When he actually, or I had moved away from the town,
Oh,
so I didn't know the individuals on. I do know from friends that I talked to that he was very pressured. He was bullied. Um, he he also fought a lot of depression and side things from just coming out. But ultimately, the trigger was a group of guys that took him out into the country, and this is a little graphic, and beat the crap out of him. And it was not too shortly after all that he became very reclusive. And these are people that he was open out to, that gained his trust and then turned on him.
but do you know how the community responded to the guy taking his life? Or I know you weren't there, but did you hear anything about it?
I think the matter of yeah, sort of him, the whole tying to him coming out as gay never came up. No, it was always like something no one ever wanted to talk to, so no one ever
No one wants to own it.
So no one connected
They
his
just
death
pretended
with,
like it never ever
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, or they
Exactly.
blamed it on something else, or
Wow, I
oh,
just got a
he was
chill.
troubled, or oh, this or that, and not wow, I had a role in his death.
exactly.
That chill
No one-
you just felt was your friend confirming what we're talking about.
I feel it, and I'm
People are such cowards.
wow. Yes,
I'm angry
yes,
right
they
now.
are.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm angry.
just-
I'm not sorry. I'm angry.
So it's interesting. So this is
I
a
am
good.
having so many energetic fluctuations in me right now. I believe I'm feeling Shannon and I'm feeling you, Jessica. I'm just wow. I
Well,
need
it's
a
interesting
second.
because an advanced aspect of what we talk about in the guides, which it's not in the guides, it'll be in the next material that comes out. We talk about the nature of emotions, and when we have an experience like we're having today in the studio, listening to this really tragic story, and we have a negative emotional reaction like anger, or some sort of negative judgment. That emotion, what that emotion is doing is it's communicating to us something that we really need to pay attention to. And it's surprising. The message that we're being sent is that's not how the part of you that the higher part of you is seeing this situation. Because all situations, believe it or not, serve individuals to their higher purpose. And so when you're there's two parts of us, right? There's a part of us that's here in our physical bodies, and there's another part of us out in non-physical world that we communicate with all the time.
Our higher self.
Our higher self. Thank you, Remy. And so when we have this disconnect between our higher self and what we're experiencing here, we experience negative emotion, and the negative emotion is just an indicator that we're not seeing it the way that our higher self sees it. Where in the higher self perspective, there's a much more holistic view of what's going on, and at that holistic view, everything is working out for us all the time. And even tragedies such as this are working out for everyone's best interest. And it's funny because Remy wrote down on a card when you were talking, Jessica, a little bit before about some other loss in your life, that you've experienced a lot of loss. And I'm curious as to how you think all of these experiences have contributed to who you are today.
That's a great question, Perry.
I really feel like going through and experiencing what I'm just going to say his name, my friend Aaron experienced, gave me
He
insight
deserves
as
to be acknowleded
Yes.
as a human
Absolutely.
being.
Yes, he
Call
does.
Aaron
Absolutely.
who he is, Aaron.
Yes.
my friend Aaron. He did not deserve what he went through.
No.
And if I'm walking away with anything of his tragedy, it's to stand up against, and excuse my language, bullshit that the ignorant people are going to throw at people that are unique and proud of who they are.
And it's interesting, Jessica, because when you look at your Facebook page,
Mhm.
you're out and proud about
Oh, absolutely.
and who you are, and
Mhm.
you're almost like, you may not accept this moniker, but you're almost like an ambassador to the website that you have published on your page.
Mhm.
You and I guess in my mind I would question, would you still be this person had you not had the past that you've had?
It's hard to say. I would.
No, it's not.
No,
No, it's
you
not.
wouldn't. You
No,
wouldn't
there's
be
no
who
way.
you are
There's
right
no
now
way.
without
See-
those
Yeah.
experiences.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
I've seen so many other tragic stories out there that make me find this fight in me
Right.
Good for you.
to reject all those small mentalities that decide they're gonna bully or they're gonna call someone out or treat them any differently than who they are.
So Perry, to go back to what you were saying earlier about our higher selves and seeing it, my negative emotion, anger, which I was experiencing earlier, and then our higher self seeing it, is that what you mean when you say, it's a positive thing? Because when you said this young man took his life, and that was,
Hmm.
I guess I'm having a hard time making the connection between his death and that being good for me.
Right. The connection, and this is why it's an advanced aspect of this material, because it's very hard to make the connection, or not to make it because it's there, to see it.
It's hard to see.
It's hard to see.
Very hard to
Yeah,
see.
Can you
very
help
hard
me
to
see
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
The human brain makes it hard.
the
to see it.
human experience makes it hard to see. But ultimately, how does the saying go? We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so,
100%.
okay, so if you get that,
Yeah.
then death is not death. It's a transitionary process that takes you out of this experience into a new experience.
Right.
And there had to have been an experience prior to this experience because you're a spiritual being. And in that prior experience, Daniel, was that his name?
Aaron?
Aaron made some decisions, some choices as a spiritual being to have a certain human experience. And that human experience included free will. And in the context of that free will, in the experience he designed before he got here, he made a choice. But the choice that he made, after the choice was made, he's not, as the Jehovah's Witnesses might say, he's not in hell burning for his choice. He's back where he was before, having a great time, looking back at that experience and going, wow, I really learned. I really had this amazing experience as a human being. Let's have another one. And so, and at the same time, if you listen to what Jessica just described as herself, Aaron has had a huge contribution to
her
Jessica's
strength.
life and her strength.
And who's
and
to
to
know
everybody
what?
she will touch.
And
who
including her
knows-
children.
Who knows, like those people who beat Aaron, right? And then soon after he took his life, who knows how that affected their lives
No
after
fucking
the
shit.
fact?
There's no way
Right?
on earth that those people did not have some sort of a comeuppance.
Right.
Personal,
Amen.
spiritual comeuppance as a result of that. They know why he took his life.
Right.
There's no, in the same way that all four of us got the goose pimples talking about Aaron, I got them right now. In the same way that we're getting it, those people got it too. And there's no way on earth that they're going to live through this life not knowing that shit. There's no
Honestly,
way on earth. And so,
I'm sending this to some of those punks that, trust me, I am. This conversation was for him a little bit. It just out of the blue, but
Yes, it was.
It
I'm
was.
sorry.
Damn
This-
straight.
He has a lot to say, and there's a
I'm feeling
deep
you right
message,
there, Randy.
and I'm feeling you. There's a deep message here, and a deep strength that his his choices and his sacrifices that he made in this living, this life, this existence, this plane, was to teach and help others.
It's a cooperative situation.
I mean, I don't know how many years ago this was, but Aaron is affecting us right here,
Yes.
right now, however
Yes.
many years later. And
Absolutely.
hopefully he will be touching his story, your story, our stories will touch however many hundreds of thousands of people that are out there on the
We're gonna
internet that
listen
could
to
hear him.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this show will be on the internet as long as the internet's around. Once we put it on there, how many people are going to hear this story?
Right.
Absolutely.
All those
And
people
how
are
many
gonna
people
be
will
touched.
resonate with it too?
Exactly.
Because they've had that experience, or they're afraid of that experience,
Absolutely.
and from whichever end that is,
Yes.
Mhm.
whatever end that might be.
And so,
And-
You okay, girl?
Yeah, no, I'm just emotionally wide open right now, and I'm taking it all in. I mean, this is what life is. This is what the human experience is. What we're having right now.
yeah.
right.
Absolutely.
And so it's interesting because when we get, like Remy was saying, our brains force us to not have the experience that our higher self is having, but we're always connected to that higher self experience. And so our higher self is communicating with us constantly, and that's what has experiences like this one happen, where Jessica and me and Shannon and Remy are having this amazing conversation about Aaron, and it's all happening because we all had some sort of play in the events that led up to Aaron's experience, or else we wouldn't be having this conversation. So when I say that our emotions are indicators of of the disconnect between how our human experience is experiencing a situation and how our spiritual experience is experiencing the situation, that's exactly what it is. So and this is why in the advanced materials that we'll come out with, this is why we say you cannot have a knee-jerk reaction to your negative emotion, because when you do, you're just creating the next future experience that's going to be just like the one you're having a knee-jerk reaction about. You have to be able to understand what your emotions are telling you and respond to your emotions in a constructive way by saying, oh, I get
Exactly.
it. I am not seeing the world the way my higher self is seeing it. I can choose to see it that way. And when I make that choice, my future changes.
Right.
See,
But
I have a question.
It's the hardest
It's hard.
point because
It's hard.
That's the hardest point.
So why?
'Cause we
My
still do it.
question is, why is that emotion? Pick any emotion that you would consider to be a negative emotion. Why is that negative? For instance, I love experiencing the array of the human emotions. For instance, if I don't cry for a few months, and I'm a very happy person, so I don't cry a lot. If I don't get a good cry in, I will intentionally subject myself to something sad. Like I'll go watch a sad movie, I'll have a glass of wine, just so that I can experience that sadness, and so I can experience that emotion because I love experiencing them.
Cleanses the soul.
Is my anger really negative?
It's negative in the sense that it's trying to tell you that you're not seeing the world the way you could potentially see it. But at the same time, and this is the interesting thing, the quirky thing about the universe is it's negative, but at the same time it's serving you. It's serving a positive purpose. It's saying,
Absolutely.
hey, you have an option to choose here how you're experiencing what you experience. You have an option to choose. And so
exactly. For instance, I am a huge fan of being uncomfortable. I don't like being in a situation where things are just okay and life is easy, because then I know that I'm not charging forward. And so being in a place of discomfort, which a lot of people would think, oh, that's a negative thing. For me, that's the most positive thing.
When I was in beauty school, one of my teachers, and this is one thing that definitely stuck with me, she said, oh, shit.
it's okay, it'll come back.
What did she
happens
say
to
after
me.
she said, oh, shit?
That just went off the track. Another thought that she used to say, because wow. You must get uncomfortable to become comfortable.
Yes.
That's the word I was
That's
looking
true.
for.
Yep.
And it's such a true thing that you must, and sometimes you have to make people uncomfortable so that they can become comfortable.
Yes.
You know?
I am a little too good at that. I love putting people to the test, and it's a terrible. I don't know if it's terrible or not.
Yeah.
People don't appreciate it. Let me put it that way. I love challenging people, and including myself. By the way, it's not just. I love knowing that if I have a weakness or if there's something I'm afraid of, that I need to confront that, and I love pushing that on other people too, which sometimes is hard. Because I come at it from a very positive place. I'm like, hey, face it. You're never gonna get over it if you don't face it. So I like to push people into their discomfort, which is not always appreciated. Jessica,
Right.
if there was something you wanted to make yourself vulnerable on the show today about that, you might be afraid of, what is that now? Because I hear something in you.
I don't know yet.
There's so much
I'm
strength
sorry.
in her voice, but there's also
Yeah.
There's something.
like a fear or something.
What is it?
I think it's with me early in my transition right now. This kind of being on the Transamorous. This is the Transamorous Network podcast. I think right now the only struggle I feel is a little fear of rejection with dating. And I think that's been overlaying just my natural bubbly kind of personality
This
lately.
is perfect. This is
Had a-
perfect.
It's
It
been
is
going
perfect.
Because now we can go right into exactly why we are all together here making
Exactly.
this podcast.
Yeah.
And we can go right into the guide, and this is exactly why we're here. What you said is why we exist right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So what have been your experiences dating, or have you had any?
Since your
And-
transition.
Yeah, and since the loss of your spouse.
I had one relationship. It was an early relationship out of the after losing my son's mom, probably about 6 months later, and it ended within 6 months as well. Just because I realized that I moved too quick. I almost looked for a replacement, which was my fault. I failed on that relationship, and
You weren't ready.
I wasn't
That's
ready.
exactly what I was
No.
thinking. That's exactly what I was thinking.
What happened specifically? Who got
It-
hurt? Who broke
Um,
who?
Actually, I'm still in contact with her. She's not fully aware that I'm transgender. I don't want
How?
to even go there.
How is she not aware?
When she and I never explored that side. I think she saw feminine qualities about
But you
myself.
said you're still in contact with her.
Yeah.
And you live full time, correct?
And you're out on Facebook.
Yes. Yes, I do.
So,
well, she's not on my
People see what they
Facebook.
want to see.
Well, yes, absolutely. But I think that you're showing her a side that might not be true. What are you showing her? Because
You're right.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right on that. And I feel guilty, like not just being fully
Why not?
upfront with her.
Why not just tell her?
I should. You're actually, after this, I might just give her a call.
Congratulations, go you.
Thank
And that
you,
right
Shannon.
there is to that begins the changing of your story.
That's
That
right.
You're right.
begins
Oh my God.
the positive aspects and the being able to rewrite your story in a way that is going to put you in a space where you can find someone who will accept you and love you and date you. and
You will find someone.
absolutely,
For sure. It's-
absolutely.
yeah.
But it's you first. You have to get
Yeah.
yourself and your story right before
About who you are.
about who you
Yeah.
are, about
How
who
you feel
you
about
feel,
yourself. Yeah.
how you want, what you
Exactly.
want, when you want. And that goes, and it broadens just every aspect of your life. It really, really does. But when you focus it, if you're able to start with focusing on one point, and if that's love and relationships and that kind of thing, it's a great point to focus. And then
Yeah.
from that point, it just blooms. It's
Actually-
just a lotus.
You're so right. I mean, if and I never thought about this when I created the Transamorous Network, is love is at the center of everything. And love of yourself is at the center of the center. And if you get that part right, everything else just blossoms. And that's exactly what's happening in our lives.
It's absolutely.
You
this-
can't see it for the listeners. Like Remy and I's heads are just like
Uh-huh.
nod,
Oh
nod,
my
nod, nod, nod. Yes.
No, it's absolutely true.
Awesome.
When people, that's how I've described it to people since the beginning. After I read the first book, I'm like, his concept is so broad. It is life altering, but it helps you focus on one piece of it, and just being able to focus your intentions on one piece, at least to start, it gives you direction. It gives you something to continue to go back to. It helps you keep on that track of making the new momentum and moving forward with these new stories.
And it's so
and
odd.
it blossoms
Yeah.
out into everything, because when you start telling your story about the person you are and the person you want to love, it changes everything. It changes
Absolutely.
everything.
Jessica, you're having what I like to call a pivotal moment. For instance, I look at my life and I'm going along this trajectory, and then I want you to think of like me ricocheting off something and encountering somebody. For instance, the day that I met Perry was one of those pivotal moments that changed the course of my trajectory, and in an amazing positive way. Like, this is one of those moments for you. This phone call that you're going to have is going to build your confidence. It's going to build your truth. It's going to show you. It's going to show you to you that you can do it. And so something really amazing is about to happen in your life.
And if she can't
be
accept
excited.
it, then she doesn't
Just be
belong
excited.
there.
Just understand.
Even kind of rolling it around in my head, I think she'll be all right with it, honestly.
I do too.
You know how I see it going?
I think she'll love you so much
She's going to
more.
give you the duh. She's going to give you the duh. She's like, yeah. And then you will look back at yourself and go, I was so foolish for having all of these emotions and wasting all of that time and energy being fearful of this when it was already done.
But it needed to
was already
happen. It
done.
needed to happen to get you to a place where you can make the next step. And that's where
Exactly.
you are in that pivotal moment where you now hopefully have some of those tools, some of that strength to at least make the very next step. And that's all that matters, is making just one step at a time.
Yep.
It's so
And
interesting. It's
so much power is going to come from
Yeah,
this. Her voice sounds different already.
Right? I hear strength in your voice now.
I do.
I just recently met with a high school friend, girlfriend. Okay, we weren't boyfriend girlfriend back in the day, but we had some moments, and
Ooh, tell.
I'll
Gimme.
tell you right now, one of she's always been my best friend, but she also experienced me as a friend, which went into my reclusive side when I was kind of working everything out on me being transgender, what was going to be my next step, and we didn't talk for ages. And I just, even last night, we hung out for a little bit, and oh my God, like, we've always been friends. And she just needed to know me as me. And we we disconnected. We weren't even friends on Facebook for a long time. And so the last weekend we went out, and not this last weekend, but the weekend before, and we went up to Kansas City, hung out, went out and ate and all that. And she actually was hanging out with me for the first time. And the quality of the experience was more than I can describe, honestly. Like, as far as you always are, well, maybe it's me. I'm afraid of what my old friends would think, and many of them already made their choice. But
made their choice in what way?
that I'm an oddity
Got it.
to them.
Yeah.
So
So then are they really friends?
no. Exactly.
Jinx.
So after spending, I had thought about her almost every step of my major decisions on transition. I thought about her so much, and when we got to start talking, and I was the one to contact her, I said, enough's enough. I'm sick and tired of having so few friends that are only on the fence about everything, that I needed someone that I had always known to be 100% a pure friend to me, and not give a crap about, me going through transition or all the politics going on. And that was a beautiful experience.
One true ride or die friend is worth more than 1,000
Absolutely.
not real people, not real friends,
Amen.
not people who have your back. You know
Yeah.
what I
Amen.
mean? If they're not ride or die, then why are they there?
So let's do something.
Hang on a second. You know who
Go
else was ride or die? JC.
Yes, she was.
She was ride or die.
She was a ride or die bitch. Down,
Don't get me
down,
started on
get
that
it,
girl.
like
I got
it.
started, but damn. You got to listen to JC's interview. She's on the
last
YouTube
video.
channel, the last
The
video.
last one?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. It was good.
I will.
JC's fucking awesome. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, I mean, I see us. We've had this amazing conversation, and I'd like to now take this momentum that we've built, and I want to start shifting that into the positive future that's lying in front of you.
Thank you.
So let's talk
Gotcha.
about that. Where do you see this conversation carrying you forward to? What's your next step?
I think, I mean, mostly just, well, I've told Perry this before. There is zero, well, as far as I know, so few advocacy groups here in the Midwest and Kansas City area, Wichita area. I would like to,
Say it, girl. Get it out.
I want to bring up public conversations about this.
Yes,
I
do
want-
it. Yes.
Pumping
I don't
for
know
you.
where
Yes.
to start, but I have to.
Just start.
I
Just start.
feel a
That I know
calling.
that sounds
It's a
horrible.
dumb
yeah,
response,
but it's like
yeah.
that's the only answer.
Yeah.
Do it.
Just start.
I have felt that for
Just do it.
well over a few years now. Just to, I mean, I fight against people that don't even care about the actual issues with transgender and transamorous is completely non-existent to people in this area.
Well, you
It's
can change
sad. When I first met Perry through another, well, and
You can say
he-
how we met.
He's not
through
he's not
your-
shy about how he meets
that. What
people.
dirty little secret do you have?
Do you mind if I
No,
say
go
the
ahead.
site?
Go ahead.
Okay, it was through You Are Not Alone, which is like one of the longest term transgender and cross-dresser social media sites, even before MySpace.
I wasn't going to say the name just to protect your privacy. No.
Oh, shoot, I don't care.
Well, I don't care either.
Okay,
Perry
cool.
We're not
Watson.
hiding in case you hadn't noticed.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Perry's not sorry.
But, I mean, that... Oh my god, I lost my train of thought.
It happened to me earlier. No problem.
It'll come
So,
back.
oh yeah. Transamorous, when Perry introduced me to the term, like I was new to it when I heard it from Perry, and it was something that I wanted to tell the guys that I am friends with, is like, you don't have to, if someone asks you, so what, are you gay or this or that, what's your preference? All you got to say is, I'm transamorous. It's a matter of, I find the beauty in transgender men, women, anything surrounding it.
Yeah.
So I can't even begin to say how thankful I am for getting to know all you girls and Perry, and damn, now I'm getting emotional.
We all are. We all are.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologize.
apologize.
Stop
Yeah.
apologizing. There's nothing to apologize for. We are so happy to hear such a change in your voice and feel such a change in your energy just in this, however long it's
50
been.
minutes, 50 minutes. It's so touching to, I mean, we have talked about how the potential of this show, but to hear it from the guests is just,
Powerful.
You all
Yeah.
make a big impact. I know it, and even if it's not out there yet, like you said, the internet's not going away. These stories are going to be out there, and they're going to be prominent. And as soon as all the people kind of are okay understanding or interested in understanding transgender and the transamorous, I think these are going to be very prominent and very helpful, not only to men, cis men, cis women, transgender. You guys are covering every spectrum, honestly.
Thank
And
you for your part.
I'm proud
yeah.
to know and to help out any way I can.
And I think on that lovely note,
Yes.
we should let you take this momentum and make those phone calls that you need to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And know that we have your back.
We
You
have your
contact
back.
us, reach
Yeah,
us,
reach
reach
out
out
to
to
us.
us through Perry, through the website, ShannonScottSpeaks.com.
Yeah.
I
Find
have a
me on-
website at MissRemyOmatar at Gmail,
Yeah,
please.
find me on social media,
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
We're here.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'm also on Facebook.
Okay.
Thanks for
I'll
being
send
on
it.
the show, Jessica.
Thank you so much,
You
Jessica.
rock.
Thank you, Shannon, Remy,
Yes.
and Perry.
Yeah.
You guys are so awesome.
Now go hug those babies.
Yeah.
Darn straight.
And for the listeners and the viewers, thank you so much for tuning in to another one of our shows. We really appreciate your viewership and your listenership. Please tell your friends. Rate us 5 stars. I said 4 stars last time. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, too, because we're going to be
Please,
coming out with a
yes,
lot more
yes.
episodes like this one that are so powerful, with such powerful guests and powerful co-hosts. You guys are... This whole thing is working like in this magical way. It's just beautiful.
That's what we chose.
Yeah, it is what we chose.
It is. And you brought a witch into the mix. Of course there's magic.
Thanks, Jessica.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Jessica.
Jessica.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye.